Hey, I'm Angie.
And I am Aislinn.
And on this episode of the Food Hero Cooking Show, we are making fried rice. Aislinn, let's go get our hands washed so we can get started.
Let's get to it.
And a food hero is fun. Yeah.
Okay, we are clean and we are ready to cook. So, fried rice, as you know, is one of your sister's favorites.
Yummy!
And if you go to foodhero.org, the recipe is actually under fried rice with pork. But, of course, I always talk to you about substitutions, and tonight I have leftover beef, so we're going to put a little beef in our fried rice, and then we're also going to add some scrambled eggs at the end for protein. But you could also add tofu, you could use chicken, so this recipe is very versatile. All right, so I'm going to get started. Now, here's the thing, too. With the recipe, and it also talks about how you can make substitutions. If your meat is not cooked, you would want to start by sauteing your meat, cooking your meat, but mine is already cooked. So what I'm going to do first is I need to get my harder vegetables cooked down, and so that's going to be the onion from this recipe. So I'm going to put that in. We need to get that softened, and carrots, because they're a harder vegetable, we're going to get those in first, and then we'll add the broccoli in a little bit. So we're going to let those start to soften, let those get cooked. And I do have a tip too. This onion that I used today was huge, so I definitely didn't need all of it in this recipe. So what I often do when I have extra onion like that is I actually just take it and put it in containers and freeze it, so that when I'm in a hurry, I can actually make recipes like this really quick. I don't have to take the time to dice up an onion. In the case of the other half of the onion today, that's actually going into another cowboy salad for my older daughter, Avery. Another Food Hero recipe you should check out. Okay, so we're going to have you get going on the sauce. So for the sauce, because we're doubling it, you're going to do a teaspoon of garlic powder and a teaspoon of pepper. But what I'm going to have you start with, actually, is the soy sauce. Because the recipe calls for 4 tablespoons when we double it, that's actually the same as 1/4 cup. So I'm going to have you pour 1/4 cup of soy sauce in here. Okay, remember you need to get down at eye level, so you might want to step off of your stool that you're on so you can be down at eye level and measure 1/4.
Give them all of that good stuff. Recipes that
looks good. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close that. And then we'll do a teaspoon of the garlic powder. And you can also use fresh garlic. I often do, but if you're in a hurry, the dry garlic, the granulated garlic, the garlic powder works very well.
it's love. It's hard to get enough.
All right, so those have started to soften a little, and I'm going to add the broccoli to get that cooking down. Now for this recipe, I had some extra fresh broccoli on hand. This dish is a great way to use up any leftover vegetables that you have. You can use cauliflower in here. You could use sugar snap peas. You can use frozen. So a lot of times in the winter when we don't have as much fresh produce around, I'll use frozen. And that comes together really quickly because it's already been blanched before it's been frozen. So you don't have to saute it as long. We're going to let those soften a little bit longer. And while that's happening, Aislinn, if you want to just mix that up with your spoon.
What spoon is it?
Yes. And I'm just going to cut the meat, my leftover meat here, into smaller pieces. And then we're going to get that in with our veggies. So I've got my meat chopped up and I'm going to add that in. Okay, so here's another tip. I actually like to add some fresh ginger to this, and a lot of times I'll buy the fresh ginger and I won't need to use all of it at one time. So what I do is I just go ahead and I mince, or actually I grate this ginger. I'll grate extra and then I just freeze it, and then I can just pop out a little bit whenever I need it in a recipe. So we'll just add a little ginger in there just to give it a little flavor. And that's not on the recipe, but that's just something that we found that my family enjoys in there. All right, and then we'll just pop that back into the freezer. You want to go put that back in the freezer, Ace?
I thought the ginger was pineapple, frozen pineapple.
I guess I tricked you, but that is one thing too with this dish. If you like kind of a sweet and sour type flavor, you can actually add some pineapple in at the end as well.
It looked like the pineapple.
All right, so I think we're about ready to get our rice and sauce in. Now, I'll say for this dish, you want to use, for fried rice, cold rice works best. And again, I've doubled this recipe, so I've got about 4 cups here. And I'm using brown rice. So when I make rice for different dishes, I'll cook extra. I can freeze portions of that too, or I know a lot of times fried rice is an easy dish to just use up a lot of the leftovers in your fridge. So if I'm making rice, I usually make extra just with a plan to make fried rice. So we'll dump that in. Nice and cold, and you'll have to break up some of the lumps. Asen, you want to go ahead and carefully pour the sauce in?
Where healthy food is fun. Give 'em more of that good stuff.
And now you're just going to want to cook it until it's all heated through. You don't want your rice to be cold in this dish, and make sure everything is mixed well. This is looking good, Ace. Okay, I can tell our camera woman over there, Ashley's getting hungry. This is one of her favorites.
That looks so yummy.
And yeah, people often ask me, do you actually cook these Food Hero meals for your family? Yes, this is dinner tonight. Okay, so lastly, again, another addition that our family likes. Asen's going to add about a teaspoon of sesame oil here. I think it just gives it a good nutty flavor. So she's going to go ahead and add about a teaspoon of that. So let's bring this a little closer. Remember, this is hot. Okay, go ahead and add that in. Okay, you can put the lid back on that. I can smell that sesame oil. Smells good.
That smells so yummy.
It does. Okay, and then for the last piece here, be careful, Aislinn. What I did is I just scrambled some eggs. My family really likes scrambled eggs in this dish. And you'll often see scrambled eggs in a fried rice dish. So I'm going to go ahead and just stir that around, stir the scrambled eggs around in there. And we have fried rice. Okay, Aislinn, well, I think dinner's ready. Fried rice is done. What do you think?
Yum!
Looks good, smells good. That's it for this episode of the Food Hero Cooking Show. Make sure you check out the recipe. Fried rice with pork is what it's called on foodhero.org. But as you can see, you can make any variation you wish. We'll see you later.
Bye!
Food Hero is fun.